Another key match we'll be watching, number 7 Utah going cross country to play Florida. The Utes favored by 3 here, but what does a win here, if it happens, in the Swamp do for them nationally?
It puts them in the college football playoff selection or conversation immediately. This is a Utah team that last year it won the Pac-12. It beat Oregon twice to get there. It went to the Rose Bowl and it hung tough with Ohio State, losing by 3 points in that game. But the Utes were never truly looked at last season as a team that was considered for the college football playoff because they didn't have a resume win. Starting this season with a win on the road against Florida in the Swamp puts them right into that conversation right off the bat, and they need it because if you look at the rest of the Utes schedule, outside of games against USC and Oregon later in the season, they really don't have a lot of resume opportunities. So if they can get this win, go into the Pac-12, win the league again, which I think is going to be difficult to do. USC and Oregon are both going to be excellent teams. But if they're able to do that come the end of the year, if this is a Utah team with only 1 loss on its record and the college football playoff is trying to figure out the 4 best teams and they're going through it and they're looking up and down and they're saying, they did get a road win against an SEC team to open the season. That means something in that room. I mean, Florida might not win the SEC this year. It might not even win the division. It might only win 8 or 7 games. But it's still an SEC team that Utah would have beaten on the road at that point, and that's going to carry a lot of weight when it comes to trying to figure out the 4 teams at the end of the year.
The Utes, by the way, as you mentioned, they're co-favorites in the Pac-12 with the Trojans at plus 210 to win that conference there. The flip side of it, you talked about a little bit, Billy Napier, Florida's head coach. Look, he had 40 wins at Louisiana in those 4 years there, but what's the ceiling for him in year 1 with the Gators?
I think realistically, if you're thinking the best that Florida can do in year 1 under Napier, it's just finish 2nd place in the SEC East because you're not going to beat Georgia. Florida is just not in a position to where that program is ready to compete with the Bulldogs and win that division. And I mean, there's a reason the job came open last year under Dan Mullen. This was a team that was underperforming expectations. If you look at it compared to its Power 5 counterparts, it was just above average offensively, and it was average to below average in just about every category defensively. So Napier comes in, and his job is got 2 jobs. First of all, keep winning games on the field, but the biggest one is improve the talent base because recruiting has slipped off according to Florida's standards that were set in that program under Mullen in recent seasons, and that is his biggest task. And he has been successful at Louisiana, but to be blunt, the Sun Belt West Division is not the SEC East Division. And you look around that division right now, people are expecting Tennessee to step up. Kentucky's been a very tough program in recent seasons. South Carolina brought in Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, and their expectations have been raised. So there's not as much wiggle room in the SEC East as there has been for the Gators recently. But I do think this is still a talented team. They have a quarterback in Anthony Richardson who, if he lives up to his potential, could be one of the most electric players in the country. And he's similar to Levi Lewis, the quarterback Billy Napier had at Louisiana, who had tremendous success under him. So if he can get that same kind of production out of Richardson to give that offense more of an explosive profile that it lacked last season, this is a Florida team that can beat Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, and the rest of the East. But it's not going to beat Georgia, not yet.
So it's safe to say, just want to double down here, Georgia's a standard. They're a lock at number 2 in your eyes over Kentucky and Tennessee there in the East?
I don't say they're a lock, but I will say that Florida should be able to beat those teams because I do think we're a little too optimistic about Tennessee and Kentucky. I think the Gators are still pretty good. Most of their problems last year were off the field more than on.
All right, we'll see how that pans out. By the way, plus 1,100 to win the SEC East, but Georgia is still there, so that probably won't happen. Tom Fornelli, appreciate your time tapping in here. Don't forget you can catch him on the podcast as always. The Cover 3 pod, the fellas landed out. We're getting close to week 1. We had week 0, but of course you're previewing this upcoming weekend. But looking back a little bit, the first impact when Nebraska's lost to Northwestern out there in Ireland has brought a lot of pressure on Scott Frost. Is this the last year? Plus expectations for Auburn and its offense with TJ Finley at the helm as a starting QB. Download and give them a follow per usual.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.